Let's talk about techniques that you can employ during a job interview. One of the most important ones is effective eye contact. You want to be sure that you maintain eye contact during the interview. Now, you don't want to be unnaturally staring at folks, but you do want to make sure that you are maintaining eye contact with the speaker. If there are multiple people in the room, be sure to pause and look around the room and address everyone. But if you are talking to a specific individual, look at them and make sure that you are responding directly. Solid eye contact shows confidence. And what you're looking for here is the ability that you come off as being alert and interested. It's not a staring contest, but a good, confident eye contact shows that you have self-confidence and that you are interested in the other person. If this is not a skill that comes naturally to you, and for many people it's not, make sure you practice it during your mock interviews. If you record yourself doing a mock interview, you can really pay attention on how good you are at this particular skill. And if it's something that you're not that good at, keep practicing because it is essential to making a great impression. A common mistake that most folks make when it comes to job interviews is thinking that they need to do all the talking. After all, they're interviewing you to find out if you're a good fit for the job. But really, it needs to be a two-sided conversation. The fact of the matter is, people like to talk about themselves, and the more you get them talking, they actually feel that it's a better interview. But what you want to do here is ask intelligent questions, not generic questions. Don't ask something like, "Oh, what type of work do you guys do here?" Rather, take a look at the particular client roster and some recent examples and say, "Oh, I examined your portfolio and I really like this piece. What's it like doing work for," name the client. By asking a specific question, you get a specific answer, and it shows that you've done your homework. Make sure you customize the questions based on your research. You're going to want to evaluate both the description of the job that's open as well as the company's website so you can really make sure that these questions are on target. I also suggest you ask about tenure and growth. By showing that you're interested in what sort of opportunities you have with this company as you stay, it shows that you're interested in a longer-term relationship. For example, you can ask about people that have been promoted, or ask people within the room, "How long have you been with the company and why did you come here?" By letting them talk positively about the company and the position and opportunities there, it shows that you're interested in the success of the group. I find that some simple questions go a long way. For example, you can ask someone what motivates them to come to work each day, or ask about a specific project and ask what was their favorite. You can also say, what sort of skills are really important if you want to succeed here? Or does the company promote from within? Sometimes asking about challenges is good too. Is there anything that really gets in the way of someone being successful here? By asking intelligent questions and focusing on what it takes to be successful, you show that you are committed to being a longer-term employee. The days of perpetual employment are certainly gone, but companies don't want to invest in people that are going to be out the door in 1 to 2 years. By showing that you're interested and committed and want to know what it takes to be successful, the company is far more likely to invest in your success. On the day of your job interview, as much as possible, you have to prepare for the unknown. Now, this may sound difficult, but the concept of known unknowns is not that strange in the business world. You want to think through the possible scenarios that may pop up. One of the most common ones is that the employer may need to cancel. Act professional. Assume that if they're canceling the job interview with you, it has little to do with you. Maybe the person is sick, or maybe something popped up with their clientele. Don't take it as a personal attack. Instead, ask if there's a chance to reschedule or if you should follow up the next day to get back on their schedule. Show that you're interested and don't let this simple thing be a turnoff to applying to the job. Also, be prepared that things are likely running behind. Things go longer in job interviews. Maybe they scheduled too many people or the person in front of you showed up late. Don't worry about it, just be prepared to be there for the whole day and ready to be committed and interested. Things are going to go off schedule, and if you arrive early, you might find yourself waiting a little bit. Have something to read, have a snack with you, and be ready when it's your turn. You also need to be quite ready to not access the internet. I always suggest make sure you can use your phone or a tablet as a hotspot if internet access is important. But you may find yourself in a secure building or a building with poor reception where accessing the network of the host is not possible. So have any work samples already downloaded to your computer and have backup physical hard copies. Also, this one is very important. Be prepared that they may know a lot about you. Most companies do research before they meet with a job interviewee. They may have already taken a look at your employment history. They've probably looked at your social networks, and they may ask you some questions that surprise you. Be prepared. Google yourself. Make sure you've looked at your resume and look for flags. There are warning signs, things like short tenures at a job where you were there quickly and gone. Well, maybe it was an internship, or maybe it was an externship and you were there and it was time limited from the beginning. Be prepared to explain that. If you have a gap in your employment, be prepared to explain why. If you're switching industries, had to take time off because of a family member who needed medical care, be prepared to explain why you haven't been working continuously. These are the sorts of things that employers expect honest and prompt answers. You don't want to sound like you're making excuses, but you need to be prepared to explain anything that's unusual on your resume or any gaps or unusual quick turnarounds. This way they know that you are being honest with them and that you want this particular position. When you go in for an interview, it's important that you know your long-term goals. Most jobs are going to be held for 3 to 5 years, so the employer wants to know what you're looking for. They want to make sure that this is a job that you want, not just a job. I've seen lots of people come in for interviews and they speak very passionately about what they want to do with their lives. And I look at the job that we've offered and I see it's not a good fit. You're not going to get hired unless you have both the skills and a passion for the position that's open. With this in mind, make sure you are specific when you go searching for jobs. Focus on jobs that are in the field you're interested in. If you desire to be a photographer, but you have no interest in shooting portraits, don't apply to be a portrait photographer. If you are interested in editing video, but want to work in television, don't focus in something that is corporate video. It's better that you are passionate and really focus on what you want to do. The employer wants to see that you are interested in the projects that they have and that you're not going to be a flight risk, that you're not thinking about immediately jumping ship to get another job. They're looking for someone who's willing to make that 3 to 5 year commitment. You're going to be asked to be able to describe your 5, 10, and 15-year plan. This doesn't mean that you have all things figured out, but be prepared to discuss what's important to you. The employer wants to know that you're a good fit for them. After all, it's not just the skills, it's also the passion and the personality. You're going to need to be prepared to answer questions about your personal desires. What is it that makes you excited about this great creative field we work in? What is it that you really want to do? What do you love working on? Being able to speak with genuine enthusiasm helps them get to know you a bit better. A piece of advice that I give to many people applying for jobs is that you are ultimately responsible for your own happiness. When you go into an employer, make sure you can share what you're passionate about, what drives you. When they see this enthusiasm, they're going to be able to then help map you to the right job. And if they see that you have the skills and the passion, you're far more likely to land the position. As you're applying for a job, you want to be confident. You want to really show people your best side. But it's important that you don't seem overconfident. Here's a few pieces of practical advice. You are not an expert. You have core skills. And this is particularly true if you're applying for an entry-level job. Most people don't really establish expertise until 10, 15, or even 20 years into a career. If you're just starting out, you're not a director or a director of photography. You've likely been a crew member. Don't boast about your past accomplishments, but rather show work that you're proud of. Chances are the budgets don't line up with all the great things the company's done until you've really built up a nice body of work. It's also critical that you are able to clearly identify your role in a project, showing what you did as a team member. One thing to keep in mind is it's never really about you. It's about how you can help the company or the project. A lot of people make the mistake here of thinking that they have to really show off, and what they're really looking for is a great team player. Video production and many other creative fields are team sports, so they're looking for people who can join the team and be a great contributor. A couple of other things to think about when you're applying for a job. Don't ask about stock options. There probably aren't any. Don't ask what the schedule is or ask about how much vacation time you get. It is appropriate to ask if benefits are included, but don't worry about the small stuff. If you get the job, all of those things should be spelled out in your offer letter, and you can look at them then. Another important piece of advice that I've learned personally the hard way is this: if I can't trust you with the small stuff, how can I possibly trust you with the big stuff? Realize that some of the things you're going to be asked to do or asked about may seem small and mundane, but it's the little things, the importance of paying attention to the details that often matter. Make sure that the person feels confident in you and that you care about the position. Don't get distracted by all the small stuff or asking about things that you can find out later. Instead, focus on why you are an excellent team player and how you can contribute to the bottom line. In the world of business, a key aspect to successfully making a sale is closing the deal. You have to ask, what are the next steps? I always suggest trying to wrap up the interview with a few key questions. Be sure to ask the employer what the timeline is for the hire. Is this something they're looking to do right away, or do they have several more interviews to get through? You don't need to ask them how many other folks are applying for the job, but ask them when they think they're going to be ready to make a decision. It's also a good idea to ask if there's anything they'd like you to send afterwards. Maybe they'd like to see some additional work samples or additional references. Be sure to ask if there's anything you need to do to follow up. I also suggest asking, when can I expect to hear from you? This shows that you're hoping for the next step and that you're interested. It also shows that you're serious about the job. Lastly, ask them if there's anything they need you to do. Maybe it's a follow-up, maybe it's sending additional materials, or maybe it's just being professional. In any case, don't leave the room until you know what happens next.